In this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different. In the last video, and if you haven't seen it, go back one. In the last video, I talked about Russian state media and just what their strategy is and how they're thinking and that kind of thing. This video, I was watching RT as I normally do, and I saw this video that was talking about the referendums, and we're just going to watch it briefly. It's only a couple minutes long, but I'm going to stop and I'm going to pause and talk about things. We're going to watch it twice because we're going to watch it to hear what they have to say and comment about what they have to say, and then we're going to look at the band underneath and look at what is actually going on there. Okay, so here we go.
This is a very emotional day for all the 4 regions that were taking part in the referendum, as all of them overwhelmingly chose to say yes to Russia. And
okay, so they overwhelmingly chose to say yes to Russia according to the official counters, and it's questionable about who's counting and what's actually being said.
Well, no to Ukraine, but see, you have to understand that Zaporozhye and Kherson are relatively new to this family of regions that were seeking to join their big brother.
Okay, that big brother line, that's the way Russians tend to think about Ukraine. Like, Ukraine is, like, there's even a variation in the way, and I got this when I was on a podcast with a guy who's that does something called Ukraine Watch, and I would urge you to watch that podcast. It's really, it's well done, where he explained to me that Ukraine itself, the word, it means like outer lands, or it means like something like, it has this connotation of like little brother or something, or little Russians, to when Russians say it, and it means something totally different in Ukrainian, and that's the perspective, like you're lesser people. Okay.
Instead, the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, they have walked a very thorny and difficult road towards this day. They were fighting for the right to be heard. Of course, it's all about...
Okay, so they've been fighting in Donetsk and Luhansk since 2014, when they rebelled after the Maidan Revolution, where the president fled. And so after the president fled, when he was about to get closer to Russia instead of to Europe, and the people came out and protested, the president fled, and then these people came out and they were rebelling against their government, and so they've been fighting for all this time. But they've been saying that these people are the true, they're supporting the true regime that was there. Okay.
About the people here, and well, they did not shy away from sharing their true emotions with journalists.
Okay, so they're sharing their true emotions with journalists. You're seeing a cherry-picked group, but let's say.
I'm really happy. We've come a long way, and I've been waiting for it for ages.
Now, I'm sure that there are some people that are actually happy, but they're few and far between compared to most of Ukraine. And you can see that bear out in the poll numbers, as there was a good 25, maybe a third of the population that was really pro-Russian in that area, and that has diminished to single digits now since the Russian invasion.
No one forces us to come. You can see it yourself. People come voluntarily.
Now, he's interesting for a reason. The older you are, the more likely you are to kind of pine for the former Soviet Union. The younger you are, the more likely you are to have kind of sentiment toward the West, just as a statistical average.
So happy, I'm about to cry.
I think the referendum was more than successful. I'm completely for joining Russia. I voted.
We've been eagerly waiting for this for the 8 years we've had war here in the Donbas.
Now, it's really weird that the young guy is saying that, and it almost sounds scripted. I'm not saying it's scripted. It might be, it might not be. It just, I don't know. It sounds a little bit too, not like somebody would say.
There's a desire to see changes, to have stability, certainty in your life, a desire to just live a peaceful life and see your parents calm and carefree.
And that's what everybody wants, but we're not going to get that because the Ukrainians aren't going to lay down their arms at this point.
It is fair to say that the vote here and in all regions happened at gunpoint, but not in the sense that the West...
So it did happen at gunpoint, and that's true. And the West is going to say, look, they went door to door. Among other things, they had polling stations open, but they also went door to door with a soldier and saying, do you want to join Russia? And what are you going to do? Are you going to tick the box and say, no, I don't? And then have repercussions later on when this is a foregone conclusion? Now listen to the way that he twists this.
Western media or Western politicians might lead you to believe, but rather guns pointed from the Kiev side at the people.
Notice that he said, and Western politicians will lead you to believe. Like, he is stoking that fire of the West is bad. Go back to my last video if you have not seen it, about, you know, what Russia's strategy is moving forward, and you'll see that.
People at the polling stations, at the booths, as even here in Lugansk, people and just the polling stations were shelled relentlessly by the Kiev military. People had to interrupt the voting. They had to hide in bomb shelters. Similar situation and similar picture in many other regions.
Okay, so they are in the middle of a hot war. This is not when you're supposed to be doing this. This was condemned by the UN Secretary General. Like, this is a fake vote. You can't be doing this at gunpoint.
Taking part in the vote. So for the Kiev authorities, this vote, they aren't recognizing it. Of course, they're calling it a sham, and in fact,
which is in fact what it is.
They have threatened everyone taking part in the vote, no matter where their mind and heart sways in favor of yes or no. They've threatened everyone taking part in the vote with legal action, with prison terms, if they were ever to get their control over these parts again.
Okay, so there is something to that. No, so there is up to 5 years, and I don't think it's just for voting. I think it's actually for like helping orchestrate the elections. I'm not sure that I have my facts straight. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's taking a little liberty with that.
Next, the heads of all the 4 regions, they will have to make a bidding in front of Vladimir Putin on behalf of the millions of people who voted in favor of yes to join Russia, to make that happen as quickly as possible.
Okay. And now they go to Vladimir Putin and they say, please let us into your country. We want to become part of Russia. As if that's not already baked into the cake. Okay, so that helps you understand what he's saying. Now what we're going to do is we're going to watch the same thing, and I'm just going to comment as we look at the bar on the bottom, okay? Because it revealed the polling numbers along the way. It's just incredible. Okay, let's watch this bar at the bottom. 90% of voter turnout for referendum in Zaporizhia. Final results, 87% of Kherson favor joining. Final result, 93% of Zaporizhia votes to join Russia. Now, that's a little bit bizarre that area is going to even do that. 99% of the votes in the Donetsk People's Republic, which isn't fully controlled. Hold on, I got to pause this here. If you look at a map, like, the Russians control almost all of Luhansk. With the exception of a few little villages. They only control a portion of Zaporizhia. They only control a portion of the Donetsk, but 99% of the Donetsk people's, that doesn't even make sense. 98% of the LPR votes. 94% voter turnout in Luhansk. Okay, now that's the one that's mostly controlled. 77% voter turnout in referendum in Kherson. That's still way too high by like 60%. 90% of voter turnout in referendum in Zaporizhia, which is improbable when you look at the size of the territory that they control. The trick here is that they think that the West is stupid. Like, oh, we have this legal process, so we have to abide by it. 99% of DPR. No, you don't. It's a fake legal process. And now on Friday, what they're going to do is go through this legal process of the Putin signing off, going to the federal council, and going to the federal judiciary, and then going to the Duma, and everybody signing off that this is a legal process. But it was illegal. This vote was illegal to begin with. So that's where we are. Okay, if you want to understand more of this, go back to this if you have not watched this last video where I'm talking about how the Russian mindset of the information campaign of where we go for here, and that will help you understand. Thank you for your time. Thank you for caring about Ukraine. Please subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow.